Hello everybody, welcome to Cornbelt, made for Farming Simulator 17 and I believe also for 15, released by the official map author. This is the FS17 version made by Castor. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Castor, K-A-S-T-O-R. I believe he's a German. And it's intended to be a representation of the Cornbelt in America, I think. At least that's how I understand it. Getting my timer going here. I haven't done a series on this, and this is a map I've played quite a while, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's, let me just hop into it here. It's going to take a little bit to start. My computer isn't very strong, so it's going to take its sweet time loading courseplay. You kind of start in town here. I don't know, maybe a better way to do it would be to look at the escape menu. This is kind of what it looks like. It's a 16x map, which means it is 16 times the size of the standard map. So if you picture a 4x4 block, I think that'll give you a picture. So that's 16 squares. So like a standard size map probably would encompass fields 1, 4, 5, and 6. That'd probably be one standard map. Then you'd have the second over here, and so forth and so on. Obviously, like you look at 18 and 37 down here, these are massive, massive fields. Even the smallest are considered big fields on the standard size map. I'm trying to just see here where the smallest would be. 44? Oh, maybe 62 up here. Even that one is a large one for a standard size map. It's just a very huge map. I tend to like the larger maps. I know I've explained this before. And probably part of it is just simple immersion. You know, you get in the middle of the thing, you can't see the edges, and it just feels a lot realer than, you know, when you're on the standard size map and you're farming and you're continually bumping up against the edges of reality. And this one here, while I really have enjoyed the map, I mean, there's been a number of changes, I guess I'll say. Maybe I wouldn't dare call them improvements. You know, things that I've wanted in my own gameplay. You know, one of the things, for example, that I just couldn't do was the map border. There really wasn't any border to speak of. It was just wide open. And so what I did is I went into Goldcrest, this Farm Sim 17, and I took the... Let me just turn on my camera, maybe just go take a flight. Oops, except I'm under an overhang. Wouldn't let me up. What I did is I copy-pasted the mountains out of the Goldcrest map and I put them in here. Now, what business do mountains have in a Cornbelt map, you may ask? Absolutely none at all. If I had any skill modding the border type textures, I would have made my own. I know a lot of guys make them in Blender, and in this case here would have to make it look like the fields go on and so forth. So I really I just put those in there so that when I got up close to the edge I could see something, and that way I didn't feel like it was just off into the wild blue yonder, as they say. So hard to know even where to start on a map like this. And you know, the main farm, I guess, is down here, and there's sell points here and down over here, some of which were accessible only by truck in the original, and I kind of made some changes. I added another railroad. This is a map where heavy use of the railroad is practically a necessity to bulk haul commodities, because let me tell you, when you harvest a field like number 18, there is just so much product that comes off it. And when you start to do the math on how many trucks it would take to haul it to market, I mean, it's just a gargantuan task, where course play is a necessity. And I even started to set up auto drive, although I don't think the FS17 version was quite as robust as the 17 version. So I think when you start, you maybe have field 35 and perhaps 49 and 50, if I recall correctly. And these are just large fields in their own right, so it doesn't take long to pile up some cash. There is kind of an open grass field here that I took over. I planted a crop in it. There's a grass field kind of somewhere in here that I planted crop. I think up in here is 1, 2, maybe a corner up here. And then one right next to your farm. So there's some other areas that you don't really have to purchase, but that you can put some crop in if you wish, without having to buy the underlying real estate. And that is one thing you're going to notice in this map. The real estate is crazy expensive. Don't really know if it's entirely realistic, but you do have to save up a lot of money, take out some big loans if you're going to purchase a piece of real estate. And I own at this point, what does that look like? Half of the map, maybe? I don't really own much up in this corner, but I own a significant chunk here. I got this big one down here and a bunch in this area, and then the big whopper 18 and some in the middle. So might be roughly half. But anyway, the main farm, like I say, is here, and you can run milk cows here. I think there are also hogs, as I recall correctly. And the sheep are kind of up in this area. The shop is up here where you get equipment. There's another little town over here. I don't know that there's a sell point. Maybe there's a sell point up here. And then there's several rail lines kind of interspersed through the map. And like I say, I barely know where to start, even though it's fairly simple construction. Just looking at it here, I mean, you kind of got a big old river, a couple rivers, streams. It's fairly simple, but it really isn't, when you try to think of all the details that are in here. So, yeah, I'm just kind of up in the air here. Maybe I'll just cycle through my equipment, such as it is. I just have a four-wheel drive tractor. They're parked here in field number 18. I'm waiting for spring, the snow melt. Looks like it's going to warm up a little bit today, this day in game. I'm trying to remember how many day seasons. I think it's 9 day. Yeah. You really need 9 days. I mean, if you have a minimalist type approach like I do, which maybe isn't very common, I don't know. I only have one planting rig, and it's gonna do the whole field of 18. And that sucker is big. I mean, just look at it here. It's so large you can't even see in the draw distance clear over here. It's just massive. There's probably a way to figure out, what the acreage is in real life terms, but I've never been able to figure that out. You can also see kind of a train track over here. There's a kind of an extra feature on here are a series of oil wells. There's these over here by the tractors. Let me come back to the map. We're sitting right down here. So there's some oil wells here. There's some over here where you can pick it up, and then I believe there's a few also up in here. And then right in here, there is a train where you can deliver the oil to, and it will come over to put it off over here at the refinery. And this is kind of some fun where modders will build into their maps at times different processes, production things to just add to the enjoyment of the game. I mean, what does oil refining have to do with farming? Well, it's obviously a different industry, oil and gas, but the reality is, especially in the US, there are a lot of farms. There's a lot of open areas where farming can or could be done, and maybe is done at the same time that oil is being extracted from the soil. So not as far afield as one may think. I think sometimes what throws off the game maybe a little bit with the production stuff is there is no cost applied to the cost of production. You just take the ingredients and it gives you an output that is of higher value and for which you get to realize the profits. But at the end of the day, it's just a game, right? So at several areas around the map, there are big storages where you can take product. Like, for example, here's one up here. Oh, I could just visit it. Why don't I just do that real quick? Several storages where up and these fields up here, you can truck it in. There's an area to dump it here, an area to take it away. Actually, am I standing on a... Somewhere in here, it's kind of hard to tell because of the snow. There's a rail line. I wonder if the rail line's over here. Yeah, the rail probably comes through here. And so you can either offload it or unload it by train or truck, either one. I think the way most people probably use it is to harvest it out of the fields, truck it over here out of the field, and then they come along with a train and they pick it up and take it to market or to other collection points. But there are several of these. There's one here. I believe there's one embedded in here. I think there's one down there. And also one right in here, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's, yeah, like I say, a refinery. I think there's a place to deal with compost. I think literally all the trains, most of them, will come through here. And some, it's interesting, there's 5 trains, or I think there was 4 trains on the map. I added a 5th to be able to haul product from over here down to be sold at these. Previously, I just had a course play set up and it would haul material to be sold over here because it wasn't set up for the train. But I learned a little bit about trains and how to set those up, so those were pretty fun. So, oh, maybe let me go back, cycle through. Here's my tractor awaiting spring. Here's I've done a lot of forestry, and this is up in the northern part of the map. You can see up there by field 47. It's kind of a forested area up there, really the only area on the map that is forested. There are, let me just pull this up here again, forestry kind of along here, but in the Cornbelt in the Midwest, if that's what this is trying to depict, you're not going to find a huge amount of forestry in that region. So I think some of this is just put in there because it's kind of an expectation that comes with the game. So this is where the trees are, and sure, there's a few trees sprinkled kind of around other areas too, but most of the forestry is down here. That's kind of where I did it, logged off some sections of forest here, and I went ahead and replanted. And the Seasons mod being what it is, I think they make you wait 5 full in-game years before these trees are fully grown and ready to harvest. It's either that or it's their first growth cycle. So these, I mean, it seems like I've been, playing this map quite a while, but these trees seem like they've never been larger than what they are right now. So Seasons mod really extends the growth cycle on a lot of things. So, but at least it's all replanted. And for all I know, with a 16x map, let me see here what I got 60 FPS. All right, that's pretty dang good. But I think when you put a lot of hard objects in here, eventually like trees, it will be tougher to come up to this area of the map. But kind of during the winter months, I've done a fair amount of additional logging, mainly in some other areas here where I hadn't replanted and that kind of thing. So I've already done a fair bit of that during winter, now waiting for spring to come along and thaw us out so we farmers can get back out in the field. Oh yes, I got a boatload of these. This is a pretty handy mod where you can put it right by the feeding troughs and it will pick up for you automatically. The trouble is, I think I cut my cow herd by quite a bit. Most of the time I'm more interested in the crop farming than I am in the animal farming, but I had the animals going for quite a while because they were well, they were cranking out waste, and I was taking that down to the refinery and turning it into sellable product, I believe. So I had a purpose, but I think I sold the herd, and as you may know, the game limits you on how much you can put into the trough. So actually this looks empty. Maybe what I'll do is just see if I can pick some up. And oh, it's taken it. Well, I guess a few days have gone by here. Let me just pick this up and put it in. During winter, one frustrating part about this mod, if there is one, is not only does it pick up grass, it picks up snow, and it's hard to let go or to get it out of it. So I'm pleased to see here that it's actually picking it up. Oh, and yes, I modded the mod here in this case here. You'll notice I'm just going back and forth. I think ordinarily this mod is supposed to drive back and forth along here. And, I could set it up to do that. I was having some difficulty with it, telling it how far to go along here. And so finally, I just modded it and had it pick up a much larger area on either side just for shortcut. I've debated on whether to just install the mod. I think it was called Table Manners, where your animals quit overflowing, the trough. But I opted to keep the overflow, but this one here, I kind of shortcut it a little bit. I realize it isn't realistic, but at least I'm partially there. So I don't know that I have a huge... Well, let me just take a look here, see how large my herd is. 40 cows, 14, almost 1,500 sheep, and 40 cows. I had a ton of hogs, and I still got a ton still sitting in the feeding troughs. I had so many that it was nearly a full-time job just to keep them fed and make a lot of food. So I finally got rid of those because I mean, look how much money I have. I mean, at some point you say this is no longer as fun as it was because you just make money hand over fist. So let me keep cycling through. I got another one over here on the hogs. Yeah, you see him. He still has snow sitting in him, so at some point I need to offload him. I believe I had a trailer over here to pick up corn when it fell on the ground if there was no room in the trough. Oh, here's a little windrower I had over here. I have what's called a grass seed mod in here to where it works similar to where I live, where you could windrow grass and then come along with a combine harvester and harvest it for the seed. And I gotta say that's unrealistic for the Midwest of the US. They don't harvest any grass seed there. They're a user of grass seed, but their summers are much too wet, to where they could grow it themselves. So that tends to happen out kind of in the area where I live. But that's kind of something I just wanted to add in, my own modding of the mod, if you will. So I put that in there. Haven't done it in a while because I just haven't needed the money. Alright, and this is probably something we can zip around in. I'll come back to it in a moment. Oh yes, oops. Got my truck out here full of seeds, and I think there's another one somewhere that has fertilizer. This here was to clean up my manure piles and what have you. This one over here is for hogs. Or excuse me, maybe this one is for... No, this one here is for the cattle. This one's for the cattle. The hogs one would be over here. There's two of them that it would cycle through. Slurry pit kind of in here too for the cattle. The hogs... I think the hogs make slurry too, right? So maybe they ended up in the same place? I really don't know. And then again, maybe they don't. So, oh my. This one is full. I think the feed changes. The feed ration needed for the animals changes during the winter, so I have a feeling the trough is plenty full for the number of sheep that I have, even all 1,500 of them. You just look at this and say, how in the world could anybody possibly feed all these sheep? with just this tiny little trough. Actually, I kind of wonder, oh, yeah, I do need some water, it appears. They are getting a little low on that. Oops. And on grass. Well, I'll be jiggered. Well, maybe if I turn this on, will this start taking it out? Oh, and he picked up snow. Oh. See, I think I gotta do the old control I to get out of the... Yeah, see, now he's picking up the grass. Hopefully he can take it out. Ah, he just picks up that snow. I don't know if I can dump... Oh, there's grass again. Yeah, this could be quite tedious. I gotta unload this every single time. It's picking up the grass though, so... Ah, yeah, it's just, that's frustrating. You know what, I'm gonna just let that go for the moment. And I wonder, can I leave it on and see what it does? It seemed like it kicked the snow out, or were my eyes deceiving me? Maybe they were. Anyway, I'll maybe turn that off for the moment. May need to do something different. Here's a truck that I use up in the brush to haul logs, and we happen to have a train that comes out into the forest. And so a lot of times, you know, my cutter unit was kind of down over here somewhere. And so I would just use it to shuttle logs back and forth from there to load them here on the train. And I got to relearn it every time. I don't know if anybody's ever run one of these cranes, little hand-eye coordination or whatever going on there. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. But, you know, that is one area I had to fix on the map. They weren't quite set up properly. So we fixed them, got them working, and the collisions were working okay. Given I either didn't have the finished version of the map, you know, when I got it, or it was just something that was never attended to by the map author, and maybe nobody cared, you know, because if you're going to get a Cornbelt map, you're probably going to raise corn. Although I gotta say, I don't know that I've grown a single acre of corn in this the entire time. You know, I've done more just the cereal grains. Barley, wheat, and canola primarily. I did a little sugar beets, I think, for the cattle to help make their feed, but other than that, it's been mainly just the small cereal grains. Anyway, that's my truck to haul the logs. Oh, and it's also an auto loader. I'm all thumbs and loading, so I just march over there and it just picks those up automatically. Alright, so now we're kind of on to the trains. This one here has oil in it, and, you know, I don't know. I have a feeling that this refinery is full, and full of oil, that is. What we're waiting for is the second ingredient, which would be canola, and I don't know if we have any canola. We've probably sold it all. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So maybe it's a matter of just getting it from the farm and bringing it down here to start up production again. Because I think those are the two ingredients. Crude oil plus canola makes diesel. If I'm saying that correct? I think that's what it is. There's actually several factories there. I can't really give my mouse pointer. But this will off-put fuel, and it will also off-put, I think, compost over there. There's another place to pick it up. Down there, let's see, one of those is input. There's also wood that you bring in here, and you can offload. It'll turn some of it into wood pallets over there. Not wood pallets per se, but board wood that you can haul. You can either sell it or haul it to another place. I put several placeables on here where those can be used. And yeah, then over here, I mean, there's an extra storage over there. I think you can make your own seeds and maybe even your own fertilizer. I don't remember that exactly. Maybe that's the point of... Yeah, I'm just trying to remember that area over there that has the silage clamp. Yeah, I think you can take compost there and slurry, but I don't remember what the output is. You'll have to think on that a little bit, because I'm not remembering off the top of my head. But that's the first train. This one here will head out to the oil fields and back. That's pretty much all it does, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So now we'll go to the next one. This one here appears to be parked right next to the farm, and it's on the inside, so I think it takes the large loop, meaning... Oops, got to get over to the map. When I say large loop, starting here, it's going to come down here, and there's a railroad bridge over here, and it's going to come out and around, and it goes... Actually, it doesn't come out here. I think it comes over there, then across the bridge, and it comes down through here. Then I think there's a route over here. It comes back up there. So it does, maybe it's not large loop. It goes the loop on the, I guess that'd be the west side of the map. So that's that one. It also hits the main farm. Then we have this other one, which is on the outside, and I think this loop takes the trains on the east side. So it's gonna come along the water here, and then it's gonna come over through this town. It's gonna come over here. There's a series of tunnels in here that are pretty cool, pretty well done. Then this long straight stretch. Then it worms its way kind of over to this station over here, and then back and around. Frankly, this is probably an even bigger loop, if you will. Next, this one here, we saw this one. It was up in the logging area, and it's going to, yeah, it's way up here. It's going to come down here also, and then around and come over here to where you can offload it, and then you turn right around and you head back up. They all have their own predefined routes. There's no changing them, but this one is pretty well dedicated to timber, but you do have a little bit. You know, some of these, you see those tanks kind of sitting beside the railway right there. You can hold fuel in them if you want. So I know there's some allowance or ability to do that here with this train. So that's that one. Oops. Let me tab one more time. I kind of think this may be the train that I added. Several... oil cars. See, that was the funny thing to me. You could haul the crude oil in by train and turn it into fuel, but then you couldn't haul the fuel by train over to market. So I think what this one does is it hauls it from here, the refinery, over to the sell point down over here. And in order to do that, I had to put in another line and a railroad bridge down here. You don't see it on the PDA. Because you see this one here and this one, those two bridges, but you don't see the other one because I never redid the PDA. This was something I added afterwards. Original modder didn't put that in, so I just wanted to be able to haul it to market in bulk because otherwise I had to do with truck, and there was just getting to be hundreds of truck driving to haul everything over there. And I'm not kidding when I say hundreds. I mean, you do the math on what it's able to hold, and it was mighty tempting to increase quantities that could be hauled in the trucks just to get the job done quicker. So, oh, and here's a placeable factory I put in kind of right here in the foreground. Looks like there's several pallets of, I believe, yeah, you can bring wool there and it'll turn it into pallets. And there's somewhere you can sell the pallets for a little more than what the wool is worth. So, all right, I think that takes, that's through all the equipment that we have. And maybe what I could do at this point is just take a small drive or head on out Let's see here. Yeah, no maintenance is needed. I have a little shack right here where maintenance can be done. Otherwise, the snow this year was particularly bad. I'm still snowed in the barnyard here. I got plenty of equipment sitting around here, that I use. Actually, you know what? We didn't cycle through any combine, did we? I know I've said this before, I'm pretty minimalist when it comes to equipment, so with all those fields on a 16x map, which is really designed for multiplayer type stuff, I do it all myself and generally only just have one combine going in the field. That's all I've ever needed. When you set it up with Courseplay, it just takes care of it for you, offloading it and everything. So this is kind of where I come up with the phrase, the best screensaver in the world is Farming Sim. When you get it to do all the tasks itself, and it's just a matter of looking at it periodically. This map actually has some interstate highways built in, where you can't even go between the two without going out and exit. So it's designed to be on the right-hand, well, not necessarily the right-hand side of the road. Oh, there went the bell. So, but you get some idea of the scope. I mean, these aren't that big of fields. You see them on the map, 44, 45, but they're to the left and to the right. They're really not that large of fields, but when you get out here in them, they start to grow in size. So, I'm going to be so glad when all this snow is gone. Let's get over this bridge here. There are a few trees along here, but like I say, it really isn't a forestry area. It's just along kind of a highway, if you will. I'm going to come up to our first field. Let me see where that is. All right, we'll get in the entrance. So we started with field number 50 and then took over the section underneath it too. So been farming this area a long time on this map. So you really start with a fair chunk of ground, and even I don't remember what equipment came with it. I think it's not modded. It's just all mainly original, with the exception of maybe a trailer to haul crude oil or fuel. That might have been something that came with it. But anyway, I will terminate the episode here. Our 30 minutes are up, and thank you for coming along. It's just kind of a brief little map tour. I'm kind of just hanging out and waiting until winter kicks a bucket and gasps its last gasp, so we can get back out into the fields. So thank you for coming along for a ride. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.